Well, hello, everyone. We are so glad to be with you here today. It's Coach Leanne and myself for a very important topic. And we are just in between Christmas and New Year's. And so I'm just wanting to see if you can check in with us and you can hear us. We are having some tech issues. And so, fingers crossed, saying some prayers, hoping all things go well here. We are talking about today learning to use the right words in tough situations. And technically, right now, I can't hear Coach Leanne. So, we're going to have her speak and hear if you can hear her out there on Facebook
All right. Well, here
while
I
I go live on
am.
Instagram.
Okay. So Jenny is saying she can hear us. Can you hear me, Diana?
So if you can hear Coach Leanne, please let us know. Oh, so Jenny, you can hear Leanne as well. If you can hear Leanne speaking, say, yes, I hear Leanne, and we'll know that it's an issue on my end.
Oh my goodness. I love that we get to figure this
Just waiting for
out
that as I go.
together. Okay.
Oh, okay. So Sylvia, you're saying you cannot hear Leanne. Oh, Jeannie can hear both of us. So ladies, I'm going to let Leanne take this while I go live. There we go
Okay.
on
Well, you
Instagram.
can. Hey, Diana.
There we
Okay,
are.
Jenny, you can hear me. I'm not sure why Diana and I cannot hear each other, but here we go. Diana, maybe we might need to go on the phone somehow so you can hear me and we can have an exchange because I hear you just fine. So here we go, everybody. So, have you ever walked away from a conversation and thought, ugh, why didn't I say that differently? Or have you ever said to yourself, darn it, I just shut down again because I could not hear or find or say the right words? Oh, I can hear Diana, I hear me in your background. Uh-oh.
This is so bad.
This is so funny because here we are talking about learning to use the right
All right,
words in tough
ladies.
situations. And here we are having a problem with our communication.
All right. I can't hear you, Leanne, so I'm going to go get a Bluetooth so I can hear you. You go ahead and carry this for a minute. I'm going to go grab my Bluetooth. I'll listen to you through my phone and we can interact that way.
Oh my goodness. You know what, ladies? Something that I love about this is that we all get to figure out everything is figure outable. Thank you for hanging in there with us. There are a bunch of you here, either on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. And we're here to talk about something super important, learning to use the right words in tough situations. And please remember, this is Leslie Vernick's public platforms.
You
And so,
know,
whatever you type into the chat will be heard and seen by everyone. And so, here's the deal. Do you would you say have if you have ever just type out why into the chat if you have ever left a conversation and said, why didn't I say it differently? Or have you ever left a conversation and said, why did I shut down again? Or why did I just blow a gasket? If you have ever had that, okay, I see whys coming into the chat. We're going to normalize this because all of us want to use our words wisely, and sometimes we don't know how to do it. Diana, can you hear me? Oh, I don't think Diana can hear me yet, but I see many whys coming into the chat. You know, this conversation today isn't about being quick witted, it's about
I can
learning.
hear you in my ear. Can you all hear me as well?
I can hear you. Yay. I can hear you, Diana. You know, we're talking about this is about being clear, right? We're going to talk about learning to use the right words, about being grounded, about trusting ourselves in the moment. I love that. Or why didn't I ask? This is so good. I love what's coming into the chat right now. And Nancy says, we're fine, Diana. It looks like we are good to go.
Mm,
Can you hear me, Diana?
absolutely.
Okay, well, here we go. This is why it matters. Communication. Isn't this
I have
funny?
a little bit of a delay because I'm listening through my phone. That's how I can hear you.
Okay. God is good.
Oh, mercy.
He's so good. Diana, would you speak to the cost of not finding our words? I'm not sure if she can hear me. Oh, she's gone. She'll be back, friends. She'll be back. Not sure. You know what? Isn't this interesting? Okay, so I'm gonna engage with you in the chat. Why did I cave? Said Jenny. Absolutely. Absolutely. Why did I cave? And so we get to ask these questions over and over and over again. Hi, Diana.
Mm.
You know, many women that we work with, they know what they feel, but they freeze when it's time to speak. If that is you, type an F into the chat. Hi. Hello. Okay, I see some of you are still avoiding conflict. Why do you avoid conflict?
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing the Fs come in the chat. Diana, please go ahead.
Mm.
Maybe, friends, you're afraid of being unkind. Maybe you're afraid of making things worse.
Well, I feel like it's so important, and I like the fact that you mentioned sometimes we freeze. Yeah.
We do, and we freeze for many different reasons. What about we're afraid of making things worse and afraid of the spiral going and going and going?
Mm.
What about resentment or self-doubt or rumination, replaying the conversation in our minds?
Sometimes we just don't have the words. Sometimes we don't want to escalate the situation. Sometimes we stay hidden. Yeah.
We do. And sometimes we're not anchored inside of ourselves or trusting ourselves in the moment. And that can keep us silent because we don't trust ourselves. And yeah, some people are emotionally abusive. And it is hard to speak
You
up.
know, and there is a good comment in the chat that we need to really consider is that sometimes we can't speak out because, yes, because people are emotionally abusive and we cannot speak out. Yeah.
There are many reasons why we shut down. Many, many reasons why we shut down. And so we want to, as we learn to use the right words in tough situations, we want to pull back the curtain and see whether or not we are trusting ourselves to find the right words. I know for me in the past, I haven't always trusted that I will know when, how, and what to say. What about you, Diana?
Mm. Well, I think for me, sometimes I'm caught off guard and I want to weigh my words carefully. So I might, and I think we can fall into these two different categories. We can maybe speak too quickly or not speak at all.
Mm. Right. We can rush in because we are uncomfortable with silence. If you are ever uncomfortable with silence, type into the chat and let us know. we're unclear of what to say, or we're afraid of silence. And maybe we're uncertain about what we really think or believe in any given moment. Being clear and using our words wisely, knowing that words can create our worlds, is a challenge. And being clear doesn't mean that we're always certain about what we see. It is okay to pause before we react. And being clear in our words isn't about controlling another person. It's about exercising your
Good
integrity.
point, Leanne.
Yeah, please go ahead, Diana. We've got a little delay here, friends. Thank you for your patience.
I was just going to say, exercising our integrity, I think the most important thing is choosing the right words, learning to use the right words. We do. And I'm so sorry. As I'm speaking with you, I'm also trying to problem solve getting this on board for both of us.
It's okay, Diana. I appreciate your
And
diligence.
so the thought is, Leanne, how do I want to represent myself well?
Well, I love that, Diana. And here's the deal. We can get stuck inside of a myth that says I need perfect wording before I represent myself well. We don't need to be perfect. Can we just all agree that none of us are? And sometimes we can give ourselves the pause and slow down.
I'm with you. I fixed it.
Yay, Diana!
Oh, that's frustrating to be on a delay and not be able to interact in real time. Thank the Lord for the ability to problem solve things, right? And thank you, ladies, for your patience. It was a speaker issue on my end. Or actually, yeah. So we're good now, Leanne.
Diana, your tenacity. I just want to presence that. Are we live on Instagram?
We are.
Wow, look at you. You did all. All right. I just want to, I want everybody give a big shout out for Diana problem solving. Give a big shout out for technology becoming our friend. God has a message for us to deliver today, Diana. And isn't
Don't
it
give up.
interesting? What's that?
Don't give up.
Don't give up. So tell me, why was it important for you to do all that problem solving and be visible at the same time while you did it?
Well, it was important for me because I made a commitment to be here and the topic, and I wanted to offer something valuable. And also, I want to enjoy working with you for this time that we have together. And so, what we're doing is important. And not giving up, I think for me, parallels so many different issues in my life. What would happen if I would have given up, Leanne? The outcome would not have been good. And yet persisting through the difficulties and trying to interpret what's really happening, and eventually it paid off. And I think this applies to so much of our lives, and certainly even in the topic that we're talking about today. Choosing the right words in tough situations. Don't give up. Don't lose your voice. Don't shy away. Don't stop. That's why we're here, because many of you are facing such difficult circumstances in your life. And we've just gone through the holidays, and I'm sure you've come across some tough situations where you maybe didn't have words. And so our goal here is to encourage, to empower, and to help you walk forward, not giving up, just believing that you can transform and be in a good place as well. Does that help? Was that a good explanation?
I love that. And here's the deal. You were able to do it in real time with us here in the space. And one thing that I noticed, I just want to presence this, that even though it was hard and your words weren't being heard in the moment, You persevered. You stayed in the space. You stayed calm, and you were here. And I can imagine that wasn't very comfortable.
Well, I
I can
think
imagine when you were realizing things weren't working for
yeah,
you, that it was a deal. It was like very real.
it was hard for me to present myself in the way and in the manner that we desire here at LV and Company. And yet I wasn't willing to leave it there. I wanted to persist to get to a better place.
And how many of our women can resonate with what you just said? We don't want to be sometimes in the situations that we are in. And sometimes finding words, even finding our voice, not even just the words, but realizing that our voice matters
Yes.
in tough situations is hard. And your voice matters here. I would have been incredibly lonely without you, and it wouldn't have been the same. So I'm grateful that you persevered and modeled, even for our ladies in the space, about even when things are not going well, most of the time it's figure outable if we just keep leaning in and pressing forward.
Leanne, word comes to mind as I hear you speaking is we recovered. And many of us are in recovery. And, again, just relating it back to our topic today, maybe you were in a situation, in a tough conversation where you didn't have the right words. But I always say there's an opportunity to move forward as long as you're on this side of the earth and you're not pushing up daisies. So, what does recovering, what does growth, what does empowerment look like?
And I love that, Diane. It's going to look different for each person, right? Depending on the station of life that we're in and what it is we need recovering from. Many women in our community are recovering from or in the midst of navigating very difficult relationship challenges. And we see you and we hear you and we honor the fact that you're here with us today.
Absolutely.
And, Diana, many women typed different whys and stuff into the chat while you were getting online here and talking about that they have been, held back because they didn't have the words. They didn't know what to do and they didn't feel clear or anchored body, mind, soul, or spirit. And they didn't want to escalate and make things worse or be unkind. There was fears of all of those areas. But here they overcame too. And so who defines, Diana, here's a question, and this wasn't something we talked about in advance, but who defines what are the right words?
I think the Lord does, Leanne. I think there are many indications in Scripture that talk about how our speech should be seasoned. And when you say the right words, I don't think there are ever the right words. There are healing words, there are healthy words, there are truthful words, and we want to speak from a place of dignity and respect toward ourselves because, and I'm going to say that first because our audience is an audience that's been disrespected. And so standing up for ourselves is important. And then with respect toward others.
That's so good. Well, and our words can be healing words or they can be hurtful and harmful words. And many of us have received harmful and hurtful words at us like arrows.
Absolutely. I can recall something even just last night. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for keeping it real. And so what did you do when there was, less than healing or helpful words coming at you? What did you do to care for yourself well, even just last evening?
I think in that moment, it was a tough situation. And for me, choosing the right words were to not respond to what was said. For me, it wasn't the right word it wasn't speech that I used to respond. It was my tone, my demeanor. And I let the person sense my disappointment with their words. And I let them try to talk through it. I did not respond. I don't know if I'll come back to it or not, but I believe that in that situation, Leanne, the way that I responded communicated what I felt.
Well, and I can imagine that even sharing that today with us here live in such a vulnerable way when you look back on that, there's a little bit of, you know what, I'm glad I showed up and engaged the way I did.
I am glad. I think I said a few words to just toss it back and let them reflect. And I think the point was well taken. Um, there was nothing else necessary needed to be said there. I don't, and in retrospect, thinking about it, I'm not going to come back to that. It wasn't necessary. So I want to say that we're talking about learning to use the right words. And for me, the right words were, I think I used 3 words to refer back
Mm.
to what was being said. And in those 3 words, I let the person experience my disappointment and my discouragement with what was said. And I just let it sit in the room.
Letting it sit in the room, that takes a lot of courage. I had one of the dear coaches and women in my life that I've chosen to let in said something very powerful to me at the beginning of 2025.
Yes.
And she said to me, Leanne, it is okay to let other people feel the weight of you, to feel your
Mhm.
strengths, to feel your weaknesses, to feel your humanity. And wow, Diana, that was such a game changer for me personally, even after
Mhm.
doing my work all of these years, because I can hold back my words out of fear of being too much, not enough, or the fear of making other people uncomfortable.
I've experienced you showing up in many different situations as we've worked together for many years now. And I can say that I value your authenticity. And I value that you don't do that. You don't disappear, that you choose to show up. And and ladies, I want to encourage you that this takes practice and we grow in every season of our life. And I can tell you that even in my response yesterday, and as I've watched you grow, as we've worked together many years, that I can see that you season your responses with thoughtfulness. And that didn't happen overnight, right?
It did not happen overnight. And there was a lot of bumps and wiggles and twists and turns along the way. And I've really
Mm.
blown it. And I have full transparency. I have used my words to hurt others. My
Mm.
words have harmed others in the midst of hard situations. And my words have healed too. And I think one of the gifts that the Lord gives us is the pause and the time to reflect back and really decide if how we are showing up and engaging in conversation is how we want to. I spent a lot of time and energy second guessing or being full of self doubt. And then that pulled energy away from me
Mm.
to make more conscious and wise decisions about how I was going to engage the next time and the next time. Because here's
No
the
way.
deal, we're going to have
Right.
a lot of next times.
How would I do that differently? And that's rather than staying in the self-contempt of I didn't do that the way I wanted to. I learned early on from it was the University of Akron president who suggested, which this isn't anything phenomenal. I mean, it's wisdom. Learn from your mistakes rather than wallow and grieve in them. Determine
Mm.
how you will be different. That's exactly what you just illustrated. What do I learn from this? What would I like to do differently? And write it down and journal it so that the next time it happens, it's in your motor memory and you can do differently. Right. And sometimes, sometimes it's like, I'm going to choose next time to not say, as in my case, say nothing or say just something real small.
Mm. Diana, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. And if this is resonating with you in this space, friends, we have an opportunity for you in just a couple of weeks. We're about ready to close out 2025.
Mm-hmm.
In just a couple of weeks, we are opening up our Empowered to Change group coaching program. And we talk a lot in Empowered to Change about finding our words, finding our voices, and learning to show up differently than we have in the past. Just because we've always done something doesn't mean we have to continue it forward into 2026. And
Right.
so maybe you're sitting here going, you know what? I want to get more clear on how my words impact myself, my relationship with God, and my relationship with other people. Whew. And if
Yeah.
that's you, go to leslievernick.com/change to find out whether or not a group coaching program for the next 6 months might be your next best step because you want to find right words. You're in tough situations. We could probably type into the chat a myriad of tough situations that we're navigating right now, whether it be with a spouse, an ex, a coworker, a neighbor, a community member, a family member. Relationships
And
are challenging
they
sometimes.
are tough. And Leanne, one of the things I like about what we do in Empowered to Change is many women say to me, I don't even know. I don't know how, or I don't know what, or I don't know who I am. And those are all aspects that we explore as we dive into this deep and rich material of, I mean, it's really a broad-based curriculum that we use for this and helping you discover who you are and what could be different for you as we practice stepping into that. And I love the fact that we do it at the beginning of the year, right? And for all of us, I do believe that again, we grow in layers and we
Mm.
grow by seasons. So there's always some new piece of transformation. Have you heard other people say before that I can't believe it's taken me this long or I have so much to learn? And I just feel like if that's you, recognize that learning and growth is just a part of our human experience. So no matter where you are, yes, you belong. You
Mm.
belong in a group where you can grow, where you can change, and you can visualize who you want to be and long to be into this next coming year, no matter what age or station you're in at life.
Diana, that's really beautiful. And it's super powerful because we get to step more fully into who God created us to be. And sometimes in the midst of hard situations and relationships that are incredibly either destructive, difficult, damaging,
Mhm.
defaulted, deformed, all the D words that can come in, that doesn't mean we need to stay there. It doesn't mean that we need to stay in that destructive dance or that cycle in our words, in our thoughts, and in our actions. We can take a breath, we can pause, and we can look and see what is another way that I can show up. And Lord, what do you want me to know? Diane, I love that you brought up the different mindsets that we can have. We can have a learner's mindset,
Mhm.
or we can have more of a hopeless mindset.
Give up? Yeah. Do we want to give up or do we want to continue? Um, and I say, don't give up. And that's, the thing, Leanne, is, the Lord talks about in the Word that iron sharpens iron, and that we really do need one another. Otherwise, our fire is going to burn out. And so, if
Mhm.
you're here today and you need encouragement, you need strength, you need to step into seeing yourself in a new way. In 2026, my question to you is what would that look like if you engaged in working with us from January to June and July looked
Mm.
very different for you?
Mm.
You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to go alone. We practice many opportunities for you to learn how to use your words. And I think first and foremost to yourself. Don't you first coach yourself, Leanne? Right?
I
So,
do. I have learned. I love that you brought that up. Yes, I have learned to do it, and it takes a lot of self control to be able to push the pause button and do a little bit of self coaching and talking to myself because oftentimes the words that are the most hurtful or harmful to me are sometimes the words I speak to myself.
I hear you.
The I shouldn't have. Why did you? You're crazy. Those words that can come in, you're too much. You're not enough. Or, wow, you really blew it. Oh, and here's a big one. You should have known better. You're a
Mm.
coach, for goodness sakes.
There you
You
go.
okay? You coach this stuff all day long and you just blew a gasket and didn't use your words well.
Right. Or yeah, you should be beyond this. Yeah.
Oh, there's a big one. You should be beyond this. If these words, if you have ever said those words that Diana and I just brought up to one another, just type me too into the chat.
Mm.
And, we're not alone. We are not alone in this. Diana, I'm grateful that we get to walk shoulder to shoulder together in this community. We get to coach women. We have the privilege of coaching one another through all kinds of hills and valleys
Truth.
in our lives. Okay, I see you, Terry. I see you all. Type in your Me Too's into the chat. Okay, Tina, here we go. We can do that.
Yes. Do you want to walk through a coaching example? Do you think that would be helpful at this point?
I think that would be fantastic. So we talk about, we're talking about learning to use the right words. What about if we kind of model a scenario for y'all?
Yeah, let's
And I see
demonstrate that.
many. Yeah. Oh, I
Well,
love that. I'm just looking at the chat here real quick.
yes.
The should've, could've, would've words. What would be different if we let go of the should've, would've, could've and embrace the I can, I
Mm.
will, I trust, and I am?
I can, I will, I trust, and I am. And I'm going to add one, I choose.
I choose.
It's powerful. We have choices every moment.
And we can forget that in the middle of hard, that we have choices
Well,
in the
we feel
stress.
stuck. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, we can get very stuck. We can get stuck by others' words. We can get stuck in our own bodies, right?
Mhm.
And I love what you said. Yeah. I want to. I want to. I love that. I need this. You have
Mm.
choices. Yeah.
I see you, dear one, in the chat. Me too. I don't have a voice in my home. So if I might coach you just in the moment, real quick, Diane, until we go
That sounds wonderful.
Okay, so here's the deal. You are honoring what is currently happening in your home. I don't have a voice in my home. So up until today, you haven't had a voice in your home. And then I would say, how willing are you at the top of the hour? So we're at the bottom of the hour right now. At the top of the hour, what would be different in your life if you actually said, I have a place in my home. I have a place and I have a voice.
Mm.
From today forward, I am going to purpose to find my voice and to let it be heard. It's okay to acknowledge where you were, where you are, then where do you want to go?
I love that, Leanne. That's a really powerful shift, and that's what coaching is all about. Shifting from where you are stuck to what is possible and taking a few steps forward can make all the difference. And so I love how you reframe that to I don't have a voice in my home. But maybe I'm not heard in my home, but I do have a voice. And how will I use it, regardless of whether or not it's heard externally? I can hear, and sometimes I've been in situations where I know that I'm not going to be heard by the other person, but I name it for myself anyways, whether it's under my breath, internally, but I speak what is happening. I speak what I need. I speak truth because you need to hear it, right?
Oh, we need to hear it first. And
Right.
so the person that needs to hear your voice the most is not the person in the room with you. It's you. You are God's workmanship, holy and dearly loved. You have been given voice. You have been given agency and an identity that is uniquely yours. Not everybody's going to appreciate it. Not everybody is going to embrace it,
Mm-hmm.
but you can appreciate you and embrace you. And this is what we work on in Empowered to Change. We do this inner work. I saw somebody put into the chat about a podcast that I just did. I
Oh,
had the privilege of interviewing 3 women who did Empowered to Change with me 5 years ago. And it's a 2-part interview. If you have not listened in yet, I encourage you, go to Relationship Truth Unfiltered. These women found their voices in the middle of hard. And 5 years later, they are practicing what they learned through the power of coaching.
so powerful.
It is. And, we all have situations. And Diana, what do you think about if we, do this little demo we talked about
I think
and
that's
really model about how we do embrace ourselves, appreciate ourselves, and find our voices.
That sounds good.
All right. So I'll set it up here a little bit.
Okay.
All right. And so I have a family member who can make passive comments about my choices. Okay. So you and I were on a live not that long ago. I've made a choice to honor God's invitation for me to walk the Camino de Santiago in Spain. Okay. Some of the people in my life, they don't know that that's just the best choice for me to make to answer God's call. They're not being overtly, verbally dismissive or whatever about my choice. But sometimes they just say nothing. And then things will sneak in. And I can try so often to try and push the issue forward and encouraging conversations. And then I get pretty disappointed when they won't engage.
So what is the message you're choosing to take?
Well, my conscious choice is they don't get me, they might never, and that's okay.
Okay.
Okay, that's my conscious choice. That's the wise mind, the learner's mindset. My unconscious choice, the words I tell myself are, they don't care. I'm not smart. I make poor decisions.
So I see what's happening with you in your mind. I want to check in with your body. What happens in your body when those comments are made?
I get very anxious. My heartbeat goes up. I realize that I'm holding my breath. I feel really vulnerable. I feel like I have just let somebody into a piece of my heart and they're not holding it well. So then I feel a little bit unsafe and almost a little bit ashamed of the decision that I have made and committed to.
Wow, that's so important. Your body is giving you some messages. And I want you to pay attention to that. And I also would like you to reflect on, if you weren't worried about their reaction, what truth would you want to name about what's happening here in this conversation with the comments that are being made?
Diana, thank you for that. And this is real, ladies. I am being coached in the moment and I am here present with you. I think, Diana, what I want to presence right now is that I have received the invitation from the Lord. I have accepted that invitation. And the truth is, not everybody is going to agree with my decisions, but the one who has to be most settled in the decisions that I am making is myself.
Absolutely.
Nobody else is going to be walking the Camino with me. This person's not going to be there, or these people are not going to be with me. I'm going to be with myself and with the Lord on this journey. And so even as I say that out loud, my body is settling.
I love that.
Yeah, this is real. My body is settling. I think I just even noticed my shoulders dropped a little bit
Mm,
because I am doing and planning and preparing and training for what God has called me to do, not what somebody else has asked me to do, but I'm walking in what God has called me to do at this season of my life.
that's awesome. So let's talk about a simple and clear statement that grounds you in truth. What about something like this? So when comments are made about this choice, I do feel uncomfortable. I need us to keep these conversations respectful. Can you say that internally to yourself? Does that fit for you in this?
Diana, it does. It
Mm-hmm.
fits for me. And I think even to hear you say it and give me words that I can speak to myself.
You're acknowledging what's happening in your body, and you're also saying, you're also advocating for yourself what I need in this moment. So you're giving voice to what's happening in your body that's making you feel uncomfortable, and you're also saying, I need a respectful conversation. You can first say that to yourself, and then you can practice saying it out loud and potentially to the person or persons who are making comments.
Well, I love that, Diana. And I think even in the moment, I would say, I don't need a respectful conversation in order for me to be okay with my decision.
Mm.
Okay, so I'm going to presence that here for a moment. I
Okay.
want one, and I know that healthy conversations around this topic are possible with people who want to have that engagement with me. And so then I'm saying to myself now, and thank you for coaching me through this. I'm saying to myself now that the comments made about my choices may be uncomfortable in the moment, but I don't need it to derail me.
I
I
love.
do get to notice them. I do have the privilege and opportunity to acknowledge them and say, you know what? I see you're uncomfortable with my decision. And if I'm curious, I could say, what about my decision is making you uncomfortable right now? Instead of shying away from it, instead of second guessing myself, I can
Mhm.
get curious with the other person. And even just saying that out loud, it makes me feel a little bit stronger, a little bit more grounded. I'm a little bit still uncomfortable with the idea of bridging that,
Yes.
but I'm willing to try it now because you helped me to see what might be possible.
And I love that you have come full circle to saying what you really don't need from someone else. Because you know what, Leanne, when you do that, you're stepping away from self doubt and you're stepping into grounding of your own choices.
Well, I am. And what's coming up for me, even to hear you say that. So I'm stepping. So this is where I was. I was
Hmm.
in self doubt.
Right.
I am now in self trust.
Mm.
This is something that we do with practice and support. This is what we do in our group coaching. We just did it. Diana just did it with me. And I had to make a choice, Diana, just like you did at the beginning of this live, where you had to fix all the wonky tech stuff.
Yes.
You made a choice, right, to answer that call and press forward. Me, as the coachee, had to make a choice to be open and to be coachable and to not shy away from having input and coaching in my life. And that's what our women who join Empowered to Change do every time we meet for 90 minutes on Zoom.
And here's what I want to highlight. I didn't give you advice. I coached you through your own awareness, your own decisions, and your own choices so that you had clarity of how you wanted to step forward internally and externally in this. When I say internally, I mean how I'm choosing to see it, how I'm choosing to speak to myself, and externally, how I will address it when it comes up again.
Well, in realizing and not shying away from the truth that it will come up again.
Mm.
It will. These conversations, I leave in 99 days. So I am at the less than 100-day countdown. And for me to find the words, to find my strength, to
Mm.
seek God and ask, this is a growth journey. I feel like I'm already on the trail, and you helped me see what might be possible. And so I want to thank you for that.
Sure.
Clarity. Yeah, clarity is kind, and we can embrace the decisions. Maybe many of you have
Yes. And if
decisions
you,
or conversations that are really
absolutely.
important to you, and you want to find some words.
I believe that, clarity doesn't mean that we have to speak every time, as I illustrated, but it means you can, and you can trust yourself when you do. And so, yeah, I think that truthfully is what we practice and what we will be practicing in Empower to Change. And so, if you're listening and you're thinking, I wanted to respond differently, but I don't trust myself in the moment, I think Empower to Change is for you. And when we work in that capacity, you're going to learn how to slow down instead of freeze, how to find words that match your values, and how to stay steady, even if other people don't change. And that's the key, isn't it, Leanne? Even if others don't change, I can.
Yeah, I love that you said that. We do not need to wait for permission from other people to make the shifts and changes and the pivots in our lives that God's calling us to. We don't need somebody else's permission. We need to give ourselves permission. And we don't need somebody else to change for us to mature and to grow. This is about maturity. This has been, my finding my voice, knowing what matters to me and being able to speak that out loud and own it instead of I've been wanting to do this Camino for like 3 years. A friend invited me 3 years ago to join her, and I kept saying, "No, I can't, I can't, I can't," and I came up with a myriad of reasons why.
Thank you. Mm.
And now I'm to the point of I'm no longer willing to say no. And maybe some of you are in that space. You've got dreams that the Lord has put on you. And maybe it has nothing to do with the relationships that you're in. It has everything to do with the deposit that the Holy Spirit has made in your life. Maybe it's going back to school. Maybe it's starting a new career or a business or embracing a new parenting style. What might you need in your life? Who might you need in your life to walk with you into the changes you want to see happen? Because we're not going to do it alone.
You don't have to do it
Try.
alone.
We could try
Mm.
to do it alone, or we can train with others. And we have holy yeses and we have sacred no's. How we choose to use those in 2026 is going to be up to us. How I choose to use mine, Diana, how you choose to use yours. And to have the discernment with the Spirit of God as our guide is a gift we get to give ourselves.
I love that, Leanne. I love the words, what is the gift that you will give to yourself? And your gift was walking the El Camino. Your gift was growth. Your gift was yes.
And am I scared? I don't know what's going to happen for the 6 weeks I'm there.
Well, I'm excited to hear. I'm excited to hear all about your journey. I hope you're going to journal as you're walking and bring all those insights back. That's refreshing.
Well, thank you. And I love that. I'm looking into the chat.
Yes.
Looking into chat. Helpers and companions along the way keep us on the path. And so, I would love to ask those who are listening, and I'm not seeing a lot of questions in the chat. Diana, are you?
No, if you have a question, we have a few minutes. We can take a few. I did see one question in the chat.
Okay.
And I'll see if I can go back to it. I believe the question was somewhere along the lines, I don't have a voice. I'm not heard with my husband or my children. So then what? I believe that was the question.
Ooh. I so appreciate your vulnerability. And I bet many women here can relate to what you just shared. I am not. You're living in truth. Healthy people live in reality, even when it's painful. So
Mhm.
you're not denying or pretending that you're being heard. So do you have somebody in your life, somebody with skin on, that can hear you? That can hear you. Go ahead and type into the chat. I would love to hear. We've got, there's almost 100 of you here that I can see, and there's probably more I can't. Do you have someone in your life that hears you? Someone with skin on? If you do, just type in, I do.
Mhm.
I do.
Yeah.
If you don't, type in, I don't. Because healthy people live in truth. We don't want to pretend. We're not here to pretend. We keep everything very real.
Well, we first have to assess what the reality is in order to step into something different. Mm.
Indeed. I see some I do, some I don't. I see
Right.
some I do now and some I will.
Hmm.
Okay. And so, Diana, can we speak just for a minute about
Sure.
isolation?
Oh, yeah, I could talk about that. So when you're feeling down and when you're feeling challenged or you're giving into your feelings, what is your go-to? Do you seek others out or do you isolate?
Mm,
Yeah, what do you tend to do?
wow. And maybe some of you are wondering, what do I do? What do I do? Maybe you binge watch Netflix, Pure Flix, Right Now Media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, right? Maybe you overshop.
Oh, well, you're
Overeat.
naming some really good things. Maybe you engage in self-condemnation,
Mm,
dialogues internally that take you down the tubes. That's a part of your isolation. And for those of you that are the opposite, what do you run towards in terms of others?
mm.
Maybe you look outside of yourself for confirmation, support. And I'm not saying in healthy ways, but maybe in unhealthy ways or unhealthy others, right?
Diana, thank you for presencing that. Here's the deal. So when we know what we run to or run away from, when we can acknowledge that, we can clear some of that away, or we can enhance and nourish it, depending on whether it's helpful or hurtful. Because when we clear away the fog, we make room for healthier engagement. We make room for healthier conversations. But if we use all of that energy to isolate, to run away, to hide, or to over in some way, we don't have, I'm speaking from experience here, I don't have the energy to do the personal work on myself to mature and get healthier
Hmm.
because I'm spending so much of my energy overing that I am depleted and I have nothing left to build healthier habits, behaviors, and patterns into my life.
So, if you have others in your life, practicing ways in which you can use words, where you can engage in supportive conversations is so good. If you don't, we want to offer you an opportunity to do it with us. And you know what, Leanne? I have a friend, just going back to the El Camino, who did that after his
Mm,
mom passed away. And he met, I think, two people in particular, but he, like a whole host of people, I would say a handful, not a host, a handful of people that have been lifelong friends with him. And, we find that no matter where we go, we have the opportunity to create and develop deeper connections. Many do in our groups. I'm looking forward to that for you as well, as you meet strangers along the path who won't be strangers for very long. Um, yeah.
Well,
So we
indeed, this is something's coming up for me even as you shared that, Diana. So, I accepted this invitation, right, to walk the Camino de Santiago. I'm going to be doing
Mhm.
the French way, that all 500 plus miles. And I will be walking with other people who answered that call as well. They will be on a similar journey, not the same, but
Right.
similar. That's just like Empowered to Change. When you step into a group coaching program, when you accept the invitation to join us here in Empowered to Change, you will be walking step by step with 6 months with other women who desire to be empowered to make the changes in their life that God is calling them to. So there will be a like-mindedness with the people in your group. And there's something really beautiful that happens when we walk with others who have the same purpose, passions,
I love
and
that.
process because we're together.
And I
We
want to
have
say that.
more, yeah, we have more in common than we do not. And beautiful growth happens in those sacred spaces.
That is awesome. And many of us, or many of you, do not have people that you walk in common with. And so it's important to seek that out. I love that, Leanne.
Well, it is because somewhere along the way, we get to let go of the belief that staying quiet. Now, there's a time for that. Don't get me wrong. There's a time. Know when to hold them, when to fold them, and when to play your cards. We all have that. But when we silence ourselves, and it prevents us from being fully the women that God created us to be, because we are so afraid of letting others see, hear, or know us, or we are so afraid of letting others feel the weight of us, as my coach walked me through several months ago.
Mm.
It prevents us from being clear.
Yes.
And you know what? The only way that we're going to learn, okay, let me rephrase that because I always do this with my coaching clients. I'm self-coaching in the moment. The only way that I am ever going to be able to exercise my voice and what matters most is if I get very clear with myself and the Lord, and I'm quiet enough to hear from him, and I
Yes.
turn down the volume of the other voices in my life that perhaps can be defeating or harmful to me. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, if you have appreciated and enjoyed our time together, we're grateful to you for being here. And I'd like to know maybe what's different for you as a result of the 60 minutes you've spent with us. What is your takeaway? What's new to you? What's something you've heard that is maybe gold for you that will carry you through this next moment or this next day or on into 2026?
Mm.
So if you would let us know that in the chat, we do pay attention to those things. It is our goal to be of service to you. And if you're considering joining to Empower to Change, you still have some time. We have some opportunities left at different days of the week, so we'd love to have you work in our group with us.
We do, and we have a unique opportunity this year. We do have a coach collective. We've got a few spots left. If you want to work with all three of us coaches on the team, we have a Saturday opportunity for you. I believe our Monday is full, but we do have a Saturday opportunity. If that would resonate with you, we have group coaching opportunities most every day of the week at various times during the week. So we encourage you to go to leslievernick.com/change and see what times might work best for you in your schedule, because you don't have to figure this out by trial and error. You get to have some professional coaching. You get to practice. You get to learn and grow with support, wisdom, and grace, and some very powerful coaching.
And so I'm seeing responses in the chat, receiving and appreciating the support, focusing on specific change. These are takeaways. Seeking clarity, seeking God, the recognition that I have an inner negative voice that I want to attend to. So thank you for your takeaways. And we're glad to be here with you and for you. Anything else, Leanne?
You know what? If I think the only thing I would add, if you are ready and you don't want to continue to engage in your relationships the way you have been, and you want to learn to find your words, use your words, you don't have to do it alone. That's why we've created Empowered to Change.
Mm.
And Diane, I just want a presence and thank you for being so vulnerable at the beginning. Thank you for finding your way so we could hear your words. They were incredibly valuable. Thank you for your coaching.
Well, it's a gift to be here, and you're a gift to me as well. So I had good Christmas gifts, right? And part of our coaching team is that for me. So, ladies, we want you to join us. We really do love what we get to do and the work that we get to do with you. We'd like you to be a part of the transformation that we're stepping into for 2026. So, we have to sign off for now, and we want to say thank you for being here with us. And we want to ask the Lord to bless you as we step into this new year together. So, we're going to say goodbye to our Instagram group right now. There we go. And we're going to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube. Thanks so much for being with us.